Hello, everyone. This is Zami Eccles-Erwin from FilmFestivalCircuit.com and the Assistant Director of the Oregon Short Film Festival. We are gearing up for our spring 2023 season, which is going to screen on May 29th at the beautiful, historic Clinton Street Theater. And today I am talking with one of our participating filmmakers, Ty Brown, who is the director, writer, executive producer, and star of the short film Tongue in Cheek. Ty, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am very excited to chat with you today.
Excellent. Well, in that case, let's jump right in. What inspired you to make Tongue in Cheek?
So, I was inspired to create Tongue in Cheek, the short film, because Black women are amongst the highest educated group in the United States. Yet, we are faced with high numbers of unemployment, harassment within the workplace. And I wanted to have a high stake situation based off things that I've experienced just as a regular human being walking the earth, but also to see what it would be like to have 3 days to pay your overdue rent and dealing with a manager that is extremely abusive. This is an apartment manager, and also figuring out what can I actually do to get this money in the quickest way possible so that I can have a place to live. So it was an interesting experience, and it's funny, well, not even funny. It's ironic that we're still facing things like this today.
Totally.
I mean, there's the story that recently happened in New York City in the train station with an unhoused man who was murdered. And because he didn't have food and he didn't have water. And these are things that are happening every single day. And any of us can be unhoused at any moment. So tongue in cheek is exactly what it says in the title. It's a tongue in cheek approach on the extreme of what it would be like to have 3 days to actually pay your rent. And we made it in a comedy because the subject matter is really intense and it's heart-wrenching. So we wanted to see, okay, what would it be like to have those high stakes and have to really figure out what you're going to do. And we create a plan. My best friend, Millie, who's played by Lena Green.
Excellent. Well, that kind of leads me to a question. I'm curious when you're exploring these real topics and these serious things, what is that balance of turning that into a comedy and having some of that relief as a part of that?
I feel like it's funny because I talk about this a lot just in terms of like mental health, where if I had to face everything that I do in terms of like statistics, I wouldn't really be able to get out of bed. I
Mm,
mean, us as just a society, I feel like wouldn't be able to get out of bed. And then when you add misogynoir, which tongue in cheek really talks about, which is the intersection of race and um, womanhood violence that happens specifically to Black women. This was coined by Moya Bailey. It's one of those things where it's like I'm getting hit at all different angles, and I have to sometimes laugh so I don't
totally.
cry because I want to live. I want to be here. And as a filmmaker, as a creator, it's my job to figure out ways to relate to the audience where this is the story of so many of us, and to tell the story in a way that I know to be truthful based off lived in experiences. Um, and then there's always humor in it. There's always going to be humor in situations that are high stakes. I mean, it's kind of like that quote where after you've experienced something really traumatic, years later, you might laugh about it with
Right.
your family because you're like, "Whew, I survived it." You know what I mean? And I
Totally.
feel like if you're lucky enough to survive it, which has an array of reasons why, I mean, that could be privilege, it could be right timing, it could be because you literally just survived it. It could be chance. So when you do, I feel like okay, this has to have some kind of humor in it so that we can really be able to dissect it. Because I feel like sometimes when we as people are given information that's just straight facts, it's so jarring that it's really
Right.
hard to like process because you're like, wow, is this like a reality? And it is. So I didn't want the audience to feel like I was teaching a lesson or a
Mm,
tale. I wanted them to be able to enjoy it and not really know exactly where the story goes. I mean, without giving away the short, I'll just let you know that there is no end. In the end, there's no answer.
right.
So it's still up for interpretation of what happens next, which is something that I enjoy as an audience member. I love being able to like have my input into storytelling, like
Totally.
just as an audience member. So I wanted to give all the viewers of tongue in cheek that opportunity to be able to figure out of like, would I make those same choices that
Right.
Luke, who is the character I play, makes? You know, would I go to that extreme? Um, and it's okay to judge, and it's okay to say, you know, that that's not something I would do. And I think that also has a lot to say with of the choices that we're given. I mean, we're all given different choices just based off how we're born and how we look and how we show up in the world and where we're born. I think that's a huge aspect. Tongue in cheek takes place in Los Angeles. So that gives you a very specific place and time period. And
Right.
I feel like that all comes into play. So I I'm an activist at heart and I want to be able to activate us all to make the little steps that we're able to make this world a better place. I feel like we all have that power and it doesn't have to be something like gigantic. It can just be as simple as helping someone when you see them in need.
Absolutely. Well, I love that. It's serious, it's funny, it's relatable, it's participatory. Kind of on that note, I wanted to ask you about that on stage or on set dynamic because the chemistry is so good between you and your co-star. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering, what was it like on set?
It was so much fun. So this was actually my directorial debut
Oh,
in
nice.
terms of a film. So that was just so exciting. Lena is someone who I've known in LA throughout the years of being here. And it was just so much fun to work with someone that I had a relationship with, that we knew each other's banter, and she's such a great actress. And I just love being able to work with friends and work with people that know the craft of
Oh,
acting.
totally.
Yeah, I'm a director's actor. I'm an actor first. So I'm able to speak to actors in the way that I would like to be talked to. And her and I were just really able to like bounce off each other. And when you come to set and you're prepared and you're ready to go, we did so much work in pre production.
Mm,
We did table reads, we met up, we did all these prep work so that once we were there and it was time to go, we were ready to go. And Paul, who is our cinematographer, he's amazing, and he was also a person that loved to prep. So I feel like once you're prepared, once you're on set and it's the day of, it's so much easier to play, because at the end of the
right.
day, like that's what chemistry is really about, your ability to play off the other actor and really give each other the room and the safety and the space to see what pops up, because of course you have the lines already there, they've been written, which is so important. Writers are so important, we need writers. And once you have that, then you're able to just see what pops up, that magic. And
Right.
working with someone of such high caliber who I know is always going to be ready, it was just so easy and it was a lot of fun. Like those, a lot of the moments where you see us laughing, we're actually laughing. It's like, you know, I had to figure out what was the right time to cut, because we were like, yeah, let's play. Let's see how that is. And what happens sometimes is that your character becomes so intertwined with who you are, and you kind
Right.
of lose yourself in that moment, and then it's done and you're like, wow, it's finished already. And I love that feeling. So I feel like when you're working with people who actually get it and like take the craft as seriously as I do, that's when you're able to have that fun. And that's where the comedy really comes out of the seriousness.
Totally, that sounds like a fantastic experience, and it seems to be a common thread that I've been hearing, that pre-production, have it being, spending so much time on that actually brings out these more natural performances, brings off a little bit more off the cuff improvisation, room for that. Speaking of which, I'm wondering if you gained any insights from this process. You said this is your directorial debut. You're working with some familiar, skilled people. What did you learn from this process?
That's a great question. I learned so much. I'm still learning. We filmed back in March of 2022, and
Okay.
it feels like it has just been this like the longest month. It feels like it just has continuously been this space of like learning. The biggest thing is collaboration. I
Hmm.
feel like collaboration is everything because filmmaking is such a special space where it takes out a lot of that vulnerability of the human experience, and collaborating with other people is like big. So you want to make sure the people that you are collaborating with that you feel comfortable and you feel safe with. And I was so lucky that Paul, our cinematographer, he had his whole crew set. So
Nice.
once he was hired, it he came along with his crew, which I'm just extremely grateful for. And then I was able to cast the other actors and the AD who we actually went to school together. We both went to Farello H. LaGuardia High School, which
Hmm.
is a famed school in New York City. So we had for 4 years studied acting together. So there was all this like history slash herstory that was already in play, and collaboration. It's the biggest thing that I've learned from this project, and being able to work off other people. And even though I'm the director and the executive producer and the star, like that didn't make me in charge. Like of course I had a title
Right.
that carried a lot of weight, but I was learning the most because especially being a part of most of the scenes, my AD, Emily, she was the one that was really helping me
Hmm.
run the ship because I needed to have that trust in her and she needed to have that trust in me so that we stayed on time and that the story that I wanted to tell was actually being told. So being able to work with other people, and if someone has an idea, having that collaborative environment where they
Totally.
feel confident enough to say, of course at the right timing, but saying like, "Hey, I have an idea," or "If we have time, could we try it this way?" And being in the position that I was in, knowing to be like, "Yeah, that's totally okay," and like making sure that it's an open dialogue so that others can feel like they can speak up. And once everyone feels like they can work at the highest level of their performance as individuals, I feel like then as a community and as a collective, we're able to work at our best levels together and just like feed off people, be aware of like what's going on and seeing where everyone's at. And it's like if we need a break or if we need to take 10, like I, let's do it because that's going to get
Totally.
everyone back into the groove so that we can do our best work. So collaboration to me is everything.
That's an incredible insight. I mean, really, yeah, the collaborative process of the creative side as well, but also that mood on set, making sure that everyone's on the same page. And I mean that's the sign of a great director is having a finger on that pulse. So Ty, what other projects are you working on? Any more shorts? Any more stuff with Lena? What's going on?
Yeah, so I am I'm in development for a TV show right now
Oh,
that
nice.
I've been writing. So we have the pilot episode completely done. It's about 35 pages. And I have been pitching it and sending it over to different executives because I'm going to be developing it into a TV show. And it's a project that I would love to have on a network like HBO or Netflix, networks that are about innovation and not only diversity, but inclusivity. And this project is, it's a very interesting project, so I don't want to give it all away. But what I
Okay.
will say is that it's in the same vein of tongue in cheek, in the sense that the representation that you have as the leads are actors that are women and that are Black women and that are medium tone and that are dark skin and that wear their hair in their natural state, so that it's not just about diversity, but it's also about tapping into those intersectionalities that I
Mm,
feel like we haven't been able to see as much on TV and film, because it's not a binary, and it's going to have comedy because we have to still be able to tell these lived in experiences that are sometimes really challenging, but we have to make each other laugh at it because
absolutely.
it's all made up. These systems are all made up, and we all fall for it because you kind of have to in order to survive it. So yeah, it's a TV show is next. So showrunner Ty Brown is on the way, and
Nice.
it'll also be through my production company that I started through Tongue in Cheek, Jan 22 Productions.
Fantastic. That's so exciting. It seems like you have quite a bit of momentum going right now, a lot of projects, a lot of irons in the fire. Is there anything else you'd love to add about tongue in cheek?
Yeah, I hope that when audience get the opportunity to see tongue in cheek, that they understand what's really happening when Black women fall at the intersection of race and gender violence, and that um, there's ways in which we as a society and as a community can really amplify Black women, because when Black women are doing well, it helps everyone that is in the society to also benefit from these opportunities. And I feel like something as simple as it may seem, as the workforce has so many different layers that really affect all of us. And someone that has a degree at a really great university shouldn't feel that they can't pay their rent. And
Right.
that's something that we're all facing, especially in our generation of millennials, that we're like, we need to pay our rent, and it's not because we're eating avocados every day. It's actually because that we need more jobs, and we're at that point where we're like, if we want to be creative and if we want to create our own projects, that we're going to do it, and there should be space for artists to be able to do that and still live a good life. And I feel like that's not only something that is necessary, but it's also like our birthright. And I don't feel like that is coming from a cocky place to say that. I feel like that's something that is really true. And I'm just really excited for the creatives that are telling their stories, which are diverse and really specific, because I feel like the more people know what's going on with different groups, the more that we're able to say like, okay, how can I help, and how can I be an ally to this movement, because we all deserve to have a happy life at the end of the day.
Totally. And I think that's the perfect closing statement on this. Ty, thank you so much for talking with me today. I'm so excited. Tongue in cheek is so high quality. It's so great, so funny. I think people are really, really gonna be blown away by it. May 29th at the Clinton Street Theater. I'm very much looking forward to that. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank